You've probably booked a flight, opened the seat map, and noticed something strange. Every good seat is gone. The aisle seats are taken. The rows near the front are blocked. Somehow, only the middle seats remain unless you're willing to pay extra. It feels like bad luck. It's not. Airlines know exactly how valuable seat selection is, and they've built an entire system around making passengers spend more money for comfort. But once you understand how that system works, you'll never choose a seat the same way again. Today, we're exposing the biggest airplane seat secrets airlines don't want passengers to know, including the worst seat on any plane, where to sit if turbulence makes you miserable, a booking trick that can get couples an entire row to themselves, and how some travelers still get upgraded without paying a cent. Let's start with the seat you should avoid whenever possible. The last row. At first glance, it looks like every other seat, but it comes with a long list of problems. On many aircraft, the seat barely reclines because there's a wall directly behind it. You're usually next to the lavatories, meaning constant foot traffic, doors opening and closing, and passengers gathering nearby throughout the flight. The galley is often located right behind you as well. That means conversations, carts moving around, bright lights, and meal preparation happening while everyone else is trying to rest. Then there's turbulence. Aircraft rotate around a point close to the wings. When rough air hits, passengers sitting near the front and back often feel more movement than those sitting near the center. And after dealing with all that, you're among the last people off the plane after landing. If turbulence is something you hate, there's a much better place to sit. Over the wings. This section sits closest to the aircraft's center of gravity. When the plane encounters turbulence, passengers here generally experience less movement than those sitting near the nose or tail. Many nervous flyers spend years blaming turbulence when their seat location is making it feel worse than it actually is. But turbulence isn't the only thing that affects comfort. Noise matters too. Most aircraft have three main sources of cabin noise: engines, passengers, and crew activity. If quiet matters to you, avoid seats near lavatories and galleys whenever possible. Those areas attract constant traffic throughout the flight. People line up for the restroom, stretch their legs, chat with crew members, and gather while waiting for service. Window seats also tend to feel quieter than aisle seats because you're exposed to fewer passing passengers. If a peaceful flight matters more than convenience, choosing a window seat away from busy cabin areas can make a surprisingly large difference. Which brings us to the debate every traveler eventually has. Window or aisle? Window seats are perfect for people who like sleeping, watching the scenery, or avoiding interruptions. The downside is obvious. Every bathroom trip requires climbing over someone or asking them to move. Aisle seats offer freedom. You can stand up whenever you want, stretch your legs, and reach the restroom without disturbing anyone. The trade-off is dealing with passing passengers, carts, and occasional bumps. Neither option is universally better. It depends entirely on what matters most to you. Now here's a trick experienced travelers use when flying with someone else. Instead of booking two seats together, book the window and aisle while leaving the middle seat empty. Most passengers avoid middle seats whenever possible. If the flight isn't completely full, that middle seat often remains empty. Suddenly, the two of you have an entire row to yourselves. More room, more comfort, more personal space. And if someone does end up assigned to the middle seat, simply offer them either your window or aisle seat. Most people gladly accept. Speaking of middle seats, here's the most important rule. The middle seat gets both armrests. The window passenger gets the wall. The aisle passenger gets easier access to the aisle. The middle passenger gets the armrests. It's one of the few unwritten rules most frequent flyers actually agree on. Here's another small feature many travelers don't know exists. On many aisle and middle seats, there's a hidden button underneath the armrest near the hinge. Press it, and the entire armrest lifts upward. It makes getting in and out easier and gives you a little extra flexibility during longer flights. Most passengers never even notice it's there. Now let's talk about two seat types many people automatically assume are the best: bulkhead seats and exit rows. Bulkhead seats sit behind a wall or divider. Because there's no seat directly in front of you, they often provide extra legroom and prevent anyone from reclining into your space. The downside is that your bags usually have to go in the overhead bin during takeoff and landing. Exit row seats typically offer the most legroom on the plane. However, airlines require passengers seated there to assist during emergencies if needed. Some exit row seats also have fixed armrests or limited recline. The extra space is fantastic, but it's worth understanding the trade-offs before booking. Now let's expose one of the biggest seat map secrets in commercial aviation. Have you ever searched for a flight weeks before departure and wondered why every good seat seemed unavailable? Then somehow, a day before the flight, those same seats magically appeared? Many of those seats weren't occupied at all. Airlines frequently block certain seats from selection until closer to departure. Some are reserved for elite members. Others are held back because airlines want passengers to pay for upgrades. The result is a seat map that often appears much fuller than reality. That's why experienced travelers keep checking. Not once, multiple times. And that leads directly to one of the best seat selection habits you can develop. Check in the moment online check-in opens, usually around 24 hours before departure. Many airlines release additional seats at that point. Seats that were unavailable yesterday can suddenly become available. A better aisle seat, a better window seat, sometimes even premium locations. The passengers who get them are usually the ones checking in first. You can also use tools that provide more information than airline seat maps. Sites like Aerolopa and Seat Maps allow travelers to view detailed aircraft layouts, seat reviews, window alignment, recline limitations, and other useful details airlines rarely advertise. 2 minutes of research can prevent you from ending up with a seat that looks great on the map, but turns out to be one of the worst on the aircraft. Now, let's talk about something everyone loves: free upgrades. Yes, they still happen. Not as often as they once did, but they absolutely happen. Solo travelers usually have the best odds because moving one person is easier than moving a family or group. Checking in early helps. Being flexible helps. And being polite to gate agents helps far more than many people realize. Gate agents deal with frustrated travelers all day long. A calm, friendly passenger naturally stands out. Sometimes that's enough to be remembered when upgrade opportunities appear. Now imagine your next flight includes a tight connection. In that situation, comfort becomes less important than speed. The closer you sit to the front of the aircraft, the faster you'll get off after landing. An aisle seat near the front is usually the best combination. Those few extra minutes can be the difference between making your next flight and spending hours waiting for another one. There's another factor many travelers never think about: the aircraft itself. Not all airplanes feel the same. Newer aircraft like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and Airbus A350 are designed to maintain higher cabin humidity and lower cabin altitude than older aircraft. Passengers often report feeling less dehydrated and less exhausted after long flights on these newer planes. They're also generally quieter and feature larger windows and more modern cabin environments. If you're choosing between similar flights and one uses a newer aircraft, it can be worth considering. You may not notice the difference during the flight. You'll often notice it after landing. And while choosing the right seat matters, what you bring on board matters too. A simple lumbar support pillow or even a rolled-up jacket behind your lower back can dramatically improve comfort on longer flights. Noise-canceling headphones don't just block crying babies. They reduce engine noise and cabin hum that can quietly wear you down over several hours. Compression socks can also help improve circulation during longer flights, especially if you're seated in a window or middle seat where movement is more limited. None of these things can fix a terrible seat, but they can make a good seat feel significantly better. And finally, here's one last trick. After boarding is complete, look around the cabin. Do you see an empty row? A better seat? An open aisle? Wait until the crew finishes their final boarding duties and politely ask whether you can move. Many times the answer is yes, especially when empty seats are available. A cramped middle seat can sometimes turn into an entire row simply because you asked. So here's the strategy smart travelers use. Avoid the last row whenever possible. Choose seats over the wings if turbulence bothers you. Stay away from lavatories and galleys if you value peace and quiet. Use the window and aisle trick when traveling with someone. Check in the moment online check-in opens. Research your aircraft before booking. Stay polite with gate agents. Watch for empty seats after boarding. And remember this: the difference between a miserable flight and a comfortable one often comes down to a single seat choice. Most travelers leave it to chance. Now, you don't have to.